Hello again.
Hi, everybody. I had such a good beginning to the show. I've been yapping it myself.
Oh, we had the best 4-minute introduction we've ever had to a show, and no one was watching because I forgot to hit the go live button.
I was wondering, I was like, really, nobody is watching us. This is tragic. And we were like the repartee. We were funny.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
So
I'll save it for our Hollywood clip to get us jobs.
I don't know what. So hi everyone and happy Wednesday. It's the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. We were just starting to discuss the hashtag Thank You California, because apparently we have a new governor who's the same governor, but this time I don't know.
Right. North of $250 million for this recall. What could we have done for this with this money? $250 million.
Well, at least it didn't go to war or something. Because
think of all the dresses you could buy.
Wait, spoiler.
We'll get into that. But as promised, I waited to the last second to cast my vote because I really was unsure on, do I vote Newsom to recall or not? Because obviously Elder is a really evil, vile shitbag. And as a Californian, it could directly impact our lives as far as the lockdown goes. So not lockdown, masks. I mean, he's very anti-mask, anti-abortion, anti-whatever. Yeah. So it mattered. But Newsom was handily going to win this thing. So I felt comfortable not casting my vote at the last second. And there's nothing on the ballot other than for my ballot. There was nothing on the ballot.
That's true.
Just the recall.
I will say, just so that we don't rewrite history, it was not a foregone conclusion as of only 2 weeks ago that he was going to win it handily. And I just want to remind the Democratic establishment that, so that they don't just sit back on their haunches and feel like, oh, it's in the bag and everybody's flying high on Democrats. He was at one point, it was, and I mean, I know that Nate Silver is getting dragged on it all day today on Twitter, but it was actually not a certainty that he would survive this recall. I know it was just the last 2 days. I'm not vote shaming you, but I just want the Democratic establishment to know he was in some jeopardy. And there were some of us who were appalled that they didn't have a second choice for a Democrat, because it really could have gone to Elder. And I just feel like I want Democrats to remember that, because I don't want Newsom to now just feel complacent,
Yeah, to even have a recall in California where it's 60% Democratic or something ridiculous it's a black eye on Newsom and the Democratic Party, undoubtedly. And so that's why you've got all this spin out there right now that he took care of this so easily, but there's no way we should have, in California, our governor with a super majority and the most Democratic state in the union, save tie with New York, should be in this position. So
no, it's horrific.
Spin doctors are out, though, is what I'm saying.
They're definitely out. And there also seems to be amongst a certain segment of the population this idea that get over it. So he went to French Laundry. That's all it was. But it was more than just the hypocrisy of going there. People were losing their work, being forced to stay home, not getting paid to stay home, wearing masks, not allowed to go out, only essential workers. People were dying. And then he and a group of fancy friends sat indoors at a very, hoity-toity
the bougiest place you could find in LA.
Yeah. I mean, so it was more than just that one moment of hypocrisy. I think people keep denying the fact that when groups of people are angered by hypocrisy, they're speaking out of pain, a lot of them. It's not just because it's it's a gotcha situation. It's, we don't have jobs anymore. We don't have health insurance. We are going homeless. I mean, the homeless population in California continues to skyrocket. The prices of housing skyrockets. I mean, we could have so much more in this state.
Well, I live about 7 blocks from the capital of California in Sacramento, and I can walk 3 blocks in either direction and find a tent camp.
Oh yeah, us, me too.
So that's what we're dealing with, and it's nationwide. It's really not a California issue, but in California, it's just ridiculous. Like
Yeah,
every underpass on the freeway has a homeless camp, almost. I mean,
right.
it's
Yeah,
off the charts. And I apologize in advance if you see me cringing. I have my shoulder got jacked up, and I'm I go through moments of being heavily medicated with this beer that I'm drinking, which
yeah. Tell us.
and I
What's
bounce back to like I
today?
wince once in a while. But the beer I'm drinking is because of the recall, I chose Panic Double. It's a
Yeah,
hazy Panic Double IPA
yeah,
because Democrats were panicked, and they were very lucky to survive, and
yeah,
they survived because Elder was he was an easy guy to paint as the lunatic that would specifically with COVID
yeah,
put Californians at risk, and that worked. But had the Republican Party put forward a reasonable guy, a
yeah.
reasonable Republican, Newsom would have lost, and people need to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in hindsight, it was smart of him to make it just between himself and this Trumpy Republican. I mean, I don't know right now who the sane Republicans would be because most of them seem to be speaking out
Yeah,
against the mask mandates and stuff. I mean, I do think that on some level, this was, first of all, I am glad that we do not have Elder. And I think that Newsom's done for my segment of the population that has a roof over my head and all that kind of stuff, a pretty decent job of mask mandates and lockdowns and things like that. I really understand why people who are struggling are furious. Um, but I don't know that there would have been a single Republican where if what Democrats, and this is what it seems like they're going to be counting on for 2022 and 2024, is the pandemic response. And unbelievably, Republicans are really playing into their hands, I think.
they are, but it's going to be a weird dynamic in the midterms because COVID's COVID's going to be, I mean, we're looking at another round of COVID one way or another. So how Democrats responded to COVID versus how Republicans responded to COVID, there's hypocrisy on both sides of the issue. Republicans are going to blame Biden for COVID being a mess and say that he should have just let it run rampant. And that's their excuse. And then Democrats are going to say, well, if you don't keep electing Democrats, it's just a mess. But neither side provided any relief for the citizens, and they let it all expire just this week. I mean, last week, all the unemployment insurance for COVID related loss of work, and it's just all that's going to really fall on Biden at the end of the day, and it's going to be something that's going to hurt Democrats down ticket. I don't think there's any doubt about that for most political analysts.
Yes, and the lack of health care in the middle of a global pandemic where more and more people are now, one child after another. And I know it's anecdotal, but then we're also seeing hospitals fill up with kids, long COVID, even if you're not hospitalized. I think long COVID is going to define a generation, not in a good way. And that's right. Newsom allowed all those fracking permits. So, he's another one of these, like, he talks about single payer. He talks about believing in science. I mean, that was one of his tweets today was, California voted for whatever, a better minimum wage, which we do have a $15 minimum wage here, right? Isn't it $15 minimum wage in California?
Right.
Yeah. So that's good. But, believing in science, where we've got all the fracking permits, it wasn't too long ago that he talked about how we should have single payer. I mean, he was the big hope for a statewide single payer system. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
pretty
So
frustrating.
here's the tweet tonight. California voted no on the recall and yes to science. That's great, but these are all things that he hasn't shown he actually cares about. So California didn't vote no on the recall. They voted no on Larry Elder and the Republican Party, and they didn't vote yes on Democrats. They voted, fuck it. I mean, it'll be worse if Elder wins. That's it. That's it. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's people, the hypocrisy of talking about the environment or our future. It is just very frustrating. Very frustrating. Yeah, we're not Trump, Elder, or Hitler. It's always the lesser of two evils with the Democrats. Yeah.
And it feels like Republicans just play into that hand. Like Republicans almost want Democrats to win. It almost feels, because they could have put a reasonable guy. I mean, when I say reasonable, I know there aren't reasonable Republicans
Right.
generally,
Just more
but
tolerable.
you could have put a tolerable Republican up, and they would have won.
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably both parties really enjoy when the other party's in power because it doesn't make a difference, but they can fundraise off of it. Yeah, and I mean, it's so funny, like the onslaught of all of those like super PAC groups that email you, like we're gonna lose, Newsom's recalled all the last few weeks, right? Trying to, send $5, send $20, panic. And then today it was write a card to Gavin Newsom to congratulate him. It was like,
Oh my God.
God, well, how are they going to raise money if it's not out of fear? Now we've got to, send Valentine's Day cards to Gavin Newsom.
I'd be very curious to learn how much Newsom and the Democratic Party raised off of off of winning this race, but off of it cost 250 north of $250 million for California, this recall election. I mean, what could you have done with $250 million?
Yeah, it is a real just fuck you to everybody who's in pain. It's just so
That's why. Yeah, this whole week is just a weird, like, God, it's so hard to like Democrats or Republicans.
They cannot even contain themselves. They're just like taking baths in their money. It's just disgusting. Yeah. Okay. So here, yes, neither side wants to have to do shit is absolutely the way it's panning out. Yeah. So was that three? Oh no, sorry. Look at me. I'm going to put my readers on, fellas. Here I go. This is Casey
Those
Hunt.
look like Nina Turner glasses with the red on the side. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go.
My little homage.
Sorry.
I have them. Yeah. So Casey Hunt, who, I'm not a fan of necessarily on any level, but I did think it was interesting. She put out some tweets today that one of the top Democrats in the country got caught living like an elite while everybody else suffered. Elites versus the rest of us is the dividing force in our politics right now. And Democrats have a tough needle to thread both in California and nationwide, which I mean, I think is 100% on the money. And the responses from the liberals today was just jaw-dropping. Like they were furious. How could was she trying to help Trump? It's like they trotted out all the old favorites. How could you say this? There is a segment of our population, and unfortunately they're the most vocal and they own all the media, that really does not understand how much suffering is happening right now in our country. They just are completely oblivious to it.
Yeah, and that leads us entirely into our next topic, which is AOC in that beautiful dress of hers. Quite the moment
in her kente cloth.
It reminded me so much of the kente cloth moment, and we can all understand the argument on the other side that this raises awareness, and it's just like a hashtag campaign for tax the rich.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what does it do? I mean, if you see the videos of her walking into this place and just being so proud of this moment, and the people fawning over her for having the words tax the rich on her dress.
Yeah, it's gross because so a lot of people online were like, stop, why is everybody so upset with her? She's raising awareness. Look, it's trending on Twitter today. But as we know, like every other leftist policy, it enjoys a wide majority of the support across the political spectrum. People do want to tax the rich. People do want Medicare for all. People do want a Green New Deal, a higher living wage. The only people who don't want that are the 538 people in Congress and the corporations who own them. That's it. So we don't need to raise awareness or raise more, convert more people. We got all the people we need in the country. The people we don't have are the people who are at that party with her. And they will say tax the rich, as many billionaires have spoken out and said, and I know we have a couple clips. Yeah, you should definitely tax me, tax the rich. But they only want to go so far, not that way. And she's not a threat to them. That's why they were fawning all over her. That's why she's graced the covers of Vogue. I mean, Bernie has never, and I'm not saying that he's a threat anymore or whatever, but like never graced the cover of Vogue.
No, and I remember him being interviewed for the endorsement. Was it
New York Times? No.
The New York Times. Yeah, the New York Times endorsement. And he was like, I don't appreciate a lot of bullshit or whatever it was. Whatever it was. You guys get the point. But yeah, I mean, she's in the middle of this gala, and there were people literally outside protesting in a way that we would appreciate. If she was outside of this event and not being in the heart of it, being embraced and hugged by everybody, that would have drawn probably almost an equal amount of attention, but the right kind of attention. But we have some examples of
billionaires who say they want to be taxed. They say it. They all want to be taxed. Tax the rich.
And this shows you what performative results in, kind of.
We are following an interesting story when it comes to wealth inequality in the country. The second richest man in the world is weighing in on Senator Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax proposal. Take a listen to what Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates said at yesterday's New York Times DealBook conference.
I've paid over $10 billion in taxes. I paid more than anyone in taxes. But I'm glad to have paid, if I'd had to pay $20 billion, it's fine. But, when you say I should pay $100 billion, okay, then I'm starting to do a little math about what I have left over.
Have you ever talked to Elizabeth Warren about any of this before? Would you? Would you want to?
I'm not sure how open-minded she is. Or that she'd even be willing to sit down with somebody, who has large amounts of money.
Gross on every level. If you're talking 100 billion, how many hundreds of billions does he have? Can you imagine? So sick.
Yeah, and 100 billion. I mean, what are we talking? That's nothing. None of this is nothing to him. So
once you've reached you're already so far beyond, and he's in the hundreds of billions.
Yeah, but he's probably not wrong when he says Elizabeth Warren wouldn't be willing to sit down with him. I mean, because that would expose a lot of Warrenness, which we don't want to get into, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, I think she'd take his money though if she could stay in the primary to kneecap Bernie.
Right, but I mean, Gates could be at this event. He could have been at the gala and clapped for her dress.
Oh, he would have.
Like, everyone there would have agreed with AOC 10,000% over and over.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about going home and paying their more taxes, but until you get legislation that passes the Senate and the Congress, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. So, here's another billion.
It was about a year ago. We had asked you about Michael Bloomberg, and you had said that if he ever entered the race, he was somebody you would support. Would you support him? Is he your candidate?
Well, I would certainly vote for him. I don't think another billionaire supporting him would be the best thing to announce. But sure, I would have no trouble voting for Mike Bloomberg.
And what do you think his chances
are? Well, I don't think I want to get into handicapping the race, but I would say this in terms of Sanders. I actually agree with him in terms of certain things he would like to accomplish. I don't agree with him in many ways, but in terms of the fact that we ought to do better by the people that get left behind by our capitalist system. I don't think we should kill the capitalist system in the process. I think we should make sure that the golden goose keeps laying more eggs, and it's worked wonderfully since 1776. But it doesn't work as well for people whose talents aren't really geared to a market economy. And I don't think anybody should be left behind by an economy that has over $60,000 of GDP per capita. And so I'm a big fan of increasing the earned income tax credit. And I think there should be some changes made. But if given a choice, I would certainly vote for Mike Bloomberg as opposed to Sanders.
Yeah. Could you expose your? Could you just be a bigger dick on every level? I mean, Warren Buffett right there, like.
Yeah, sure. I want more taxes. It's become as toothless as healthcare is a human right. Yeah, tax a little bit more, but anytime you want to actually put policy in that would take away some of their money, that they wouldn't even feel it. It's more the idea of it. That's it.
Yeah. But Buffett portrays himself as this billionaire ready to get rid of his money, and then you back fucking Mike Bloomberg. I mean, I can't say Mike Bloomberg's name without saying fucking before it, because it's fucking Mike Bloomberg. And as a reminder, the Democratic Party, if Biden had lost South Carolina, was ready to go all in for Mike fucking Bloomberg. That was going to be their guy.
A real Democrat.
That was going to be their guy. The guy that the prior presidential election gave a speech at the Republican National Convention. That was going to be the Democrats' all-in guy to stop Bernie.
Yeah. 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 Really gross. And they always show themselves. They do not. So this is just to back up, like, it's so easy to say tax the rich. They have co-opted that phrase. It's meaningless now. It means nothing.
Yeah. So here are the real heroes of the Met
night.
Gala. Gala, I guess. Gala. I can't even say it. I don't.
Gala. Now you've got me wondering. Gala is the gala. Met Gala.
So the people, there were BLM protesters outside and others that got arrested protesting the event, drew a lot of attention, good attention. Imagine AOC doing this.
Yeah.
Being with them.
If she had just whipped, once all those cameras were on her, if she could have walked right outside to show them, to point all of those cameras, all that focus on these protests.
Walk in, get the photo op, get the live stream event on camera, and then walk out and join the protesters and get arrested.
Yeah.
Don't go in there and eat your caviar and bouge it up with the bouginess.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty repulsive. And, I do feel bad because I don't think that every second of anyone's life should be painful. And if you are an activist, you can still have some nice evenings. Like, I don't mean to say that she should only be living in misery and squalor, and that's the only thing that would make her palatable. But there have been so many moments before this evening where she could have shown up differently. And the fact that she hasn't, the fact that, when they were camping out on the Capitol steps and they got the moratorium extended a little bit for the evictions, and somebody asked, well, what's going to happen in a month when it goes to the Supreme Court, or what's going to happen to the million people who were not protected by this? And they were silenced. The staff of Cori Bush and AOC turned up the music, got in between the person asking the question and the congresswomen. And that shows a certain disregard for the suffering of people. So the more that those moments add up, it's a lot harder to be generous when I see her, to look on that at all kindly. If I had seen Susan Sarandon there, I maybe would have felt differently, to tell you the truth. I don't know. Oh, Pat, you're muted. You're muted.
Damn it.
I thought you said something so great too. What'd you say?
I've forgotten it already, but I'll just go with, here's the next video.
Oh, Jesus.
Bernie. Last month, Bernie went on CNBC to make the case that Wall Street should pay more to reduce income inequality. And at one point, he referred to his, quote, friends on Wall Street.
At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, it is my view that the wealthiest people in this country, the top 1/10 of 1%, should be paying substantially more than they're paying right now. You have an insane situation. And let my Wall Street friends there tell me why it makes sense.
You have Wall Street friends?
No, I know. That was just a metaphor. I was trying to sound nice, I know.
Of course Bernie doesn't have Wall Street friends. I'm guessing that unless you're a member of the Vermont Food Co-op or the Burlington Y, you're not friends with Bernie at all. I go swimming at 5 a.m. and then I do a shift at the co-op and then I go home and I don't talk to anybody. And I'm glad Bernie admitted that, because if there's one thing we've all learned from the billionaires, it's that
Lying is bad.
yeah. We're living in an unprecedented era of massive inequality, and there's an incredible hunger among voters for a candidate who will fight for systemic change. Voters don't seem to want a self-appointed billionaire savior to ride in and save them. And if you think you're that savior, you might actually just be a
egotistical billionaire.
This has been a closer look.
Yeah, so that last person that was getting yelled at was Howard Schultz, just as a reminder, another billionaire from the Starbucks CEO who tried to jump into the race at one point. But yeah, Bernie doesn't cavort with those people. And I know he's gotten a lot of people have given up on him, and I really understand why, and everybody can have his or her own response to everything. But there's a reason that Bernie is not invited to those places. And there's a reason that they felt very comfortable inviting AOC there. And I feel like that tells us a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to ever really hate on Bernie, because Bernie brought so many people into this movement ready to protest and raise awareness. But I say this every week, but he's in a different role now. The role he's in now is not the turn people on the government role. He's in the get the best he can because he's in a powerful position in the government. And if you want to hate him for that, I'm not going to come after you for that. I think it's better to criticize anyone in power than it is to just sit back and wait for them to do the right thing or save us or something, yeah. So anyway,
here's a fighter. I'll take this.
Yes.
Anytime. Yeah, Kshama Sawant, the socialist city councilwoman from Seattle, who her response is, the unfortunate truth is we're not going to tax the rich or win Medicare for all or 15 by attending billionaire galas. And she is right. She used her office to build fighting movements. And that's something when we had Afeni and Jay on a couple weeks ago, where Afeni was asking, like, why aren't these members of Congress organizing with activists on the outside? That's how you affect change. That's how you actually build a movement, move forward, put pressure on the people, not by going to the Met Gala. Nobody feels pressure.
Right. And like I said, imagine if AOC had coordinated that event with activists.
That's right.
So she goes in, does the exact same thing, comes out in her beautiful dress, looking lovely, and gets arrested. And there's a photo op of her getting dragged off like Bernie was dragged off back in the civil rights era.
I mean, that would be her career, like in the best way possible. That would just, she would be untouchable, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I just got chills. In the movie version, I'll play her and I'll do that.
We're stuck with what we're stuck with. But so we have an example of somebody who actually,
was invited to the party.
For good or bad, was invited to the party, as AOC was. And, you do run a risk, but let's just show you
the response you get when you actually speak up.
Here's Michael Moore.
Liberals.
At the Oscars.
I mean, that took a lot of courage. And you see all of those fake ass liberals who had jumped out of their seat to give him a standing ovation, and he walks up there. And the second he talks out against George W. Bush, and invading Iraq and Afghanistan, and they are just shocked that anybody could speak out against the system.
Yeah, that's the Hollywood elite liberal left. Pissed that he's not backing the Republican about war.
It is so heinous. It really is. But again, so that just shows you that, like, when somebody is waltzing down the red carpet with her Eat the Rich dress on, or whatever, tax the rich, and everybody—
Eat the Rich would have been better. Eat the Rich would have been better. I would have.
Yeah. They're not threatened by her. They know that she's happy to be there. She's one of them. And I'm not saying that she's evil. I think she's going to fight for some stuff, but she is not threatening them the way those of us who, you know, were excited by her, who donated, who volunteered, or the people who are desperate for the change that she said she was going to, you know, go to Congress to cause a ruckus. That's not a ruckus.
Right. And even if you, I can look at her action and put it in the view of like, she's trying to raise awareness. You know, I can give her the benefit of the doubt on the whole thing, but that still doesn't change what we want her to do and what she's doing. It doesn't change it. It doesn't, like, even if she thought this would be a great thing, it's not the way we elected her to use her power. And when I say we elected her, you can say I'm not in New York, but you know, the internet funded her. They made her a phenomenon. You know, we created AOC as much as she, you know, she needs us. I mean, she may not now, which is the problem somewhat, but I still don't see her actions. You know, I may get some grief from people. I don't think she's trying to placate people, but the effect of it in a large way is placating progressives. And that's bad. And that should be called out, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'd just love to hear her talk about Medicare for all instead of expansion and all that good stuff that we thought we were getting. Okay, so should we move on? What are we moving on to?
Let's move on to what do we got? Oh, we got Nina Turner. So I guess I have to show the picture. So Nina Turner has taken a job with TYT. She's been on before a few times, but now she's like a replacement host for 4 shows. I can't even read that because I'm old. I need my readers. But she's going to be the replacement host for 4 different shows on TYT. And I think what was missed in a lot of this conversation is that David Schuster, who I trust and love, as I do Nina, although, you know, we can have our disagreements on Nina. But they both joined the network. So I'll get your opinion, but we talked about this a little bit before the show, and I thought my hot take was going to be a really hot take, and yours is kind of similar. So it's probably why we're on the show together. But
that's right. No dissension. Yeah, I tuned out for a second because I took 2 edibles because I'm trying not to drink so
good.
And I'm not used to this ride at all.
If you're in the audience, you should tune us out for a couple seconds at least.
Wow.
Grab a drink.
I can't wait to go back to my bottle of Pinot Noir every night. This stinks. Yeah, I mean, listen, they're not going to give her a job on CNN or MSNBC. I think as a guest, obviously, a person has a little more autonomy and agency than you do when you are working for a corporation that's owned by Jeffrey Katzenberg or heavily subsidized by him. However, I am thrilled that she will have a consistent spot, and I have mostly been thrilled by Nina Turner. So I love David Schuster. I don't know Dr. Rashad Ritchie, but I feel like I'm happy that she's going to have a consistent platform. I hope it gets some traction in the real mainstream, but we'll see.
Right. And my initial reaction was very similar to most people's, like, holy shit, not TYT. Why TYT? Dear God, not TYT. But the one thing I will say about TYT is, like, I don't watch them a lot. I very rarely do. But the network has allowed other people other than their stars to say a lot of what's on their mind. So and this is a defense that I get from a lot of TYT people when I attack Jank or Anna for their really shitty opinions. But the TYT regular viewers will push back like, well, no, those are just those 2 guys' opinions. And there are other people on the network that speak their mind freely. And I think that's what it comes down to. So we're going to find out what Nina and Schuster are allowed to say on this network, because I feel like it's a platform for them to get out there and say what's on their mind, to express views that are very progressive, anti-Democrat, I mean, it's going to be hard to find an anti-Democrat. Sorry about that. But anti,
Like
whatever. But
yeah.
but they have a platform now to potentially regularly voice dissent, and I don't see Schuster backing down. I don't necessarily see Nina backing down. So the biggest problem is if they what am I looking for?
Prop up the establishment more and kind of go the way that happened. I think Bernie dropped out, right? Like excuses for why things aren't happening.
I feel like if you normalize, if you make TYT look progressive, and just by being there, and then all we ever hear is the opinions of Cenk and Anna still, then we have a problem. But I feel like Schuster and Nina are big enough powers in their own to at least counterbalance them a little bit. And I think we'll see where it goes. I don't want to attack either of these people for their choices.
Yeah,
because I think we'll know. I mean, it won't take long to know what this is all about.
I agree. Yeah. All right, let's move on. I'm not allowed to touch the controls, so I have to just.
You don't want me to rant incoherently any longer?
No, I like it.
I blame the painkillers. My shoulders. I'm sorry. Anyone watching, my shoulder is absolutely killing me right now. So.
Your
I'm trying to drink my way through it, but yeah.
Edibles were kind of a mess today.
I need edibles is what it is. But I'm in California. I have no excuse. If I want edibles, I can get edibles.
Okay, this was a fun story.
What was the next story?
Is it the Nicki Minaj? Oh my
Nicki Minaj.
God.
Is there a picture?
There we go. Yeah, you got it. You got it. So I'm sure everybody knows that this actually did bring me quite a bit of joy. So Nicki Minaj puts out this tweet saying that her cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it, became impotent, his testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied.
I was about to get married also and had a huge testicle. I just want everyone to know it happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Yeah, apparently now you can get like UTIs from the vaccine. You can get crabs. You can get all the STDs. So that was the joke, because a lot of people were like, probably he was just sleeping around and had to explain what was going on. But Joy-Ann Reid took this opportunity of a fairly measured post here that still says pray on it. She's not like coming out entirely, but obviously there's a lot of people who are skeptical. The next tweet that she wrote, this was, I think it was like 30 seconds later, was this one, the one that you just showed there. Yeah. So like she writes a thing about her cousin's friend and his swollen balls, but then somebody responds and says, I had to get the vaccine because they wouldn't let me look for a job or get a job and to earn money. And now I'm unsure about getting the second vaccine, right? Because people are, come on. I mean, we cannot just keep shaming people who are scared. Like, that's not the way to approach any of this. And that's what we see a lot on liberal mainstream media, is just shaming people. So I thought her response was so nice, right? I mean, I don't know if she actually knows that person, but she responds, to one of her 2 million or 20 million followers.
Oh, I forgot. Hang on one second. And pardon me for this, but I made this, God damn it. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. Cause this is,
what is that?
This is,
that was totally worth it. Thank you.
Sorry. I've been sitting on that for a long time. I assumed I would use it when I was getting in the middle of some shit, but
that's good though. I like it.
Wasn't all right, fine. Let's
My
move on.
only critique is I probably would have placed it at the beginning of the segment.
Yeah. You probably didn't have 4 IPAs and 2 shots.
Anyway,
yeah,
so
anyway,
here comes Miss Joy-Ann Reid, and it's a video of her basically just lambasting her for using her platform to encourage people not to get vaccinated. And it starts off with Joy-Ann, I don't watch this show, but with her in between 2 old white men, and and then it zooms in on her as she criticizes Nicki Minaj for being so irresponsible and hurting her community. So then here's the good part. This is the real fun. That's actually the thing I woke up to. I see this alert on my phone, and I just see Nicki Minaj saying these horrendous things to Joy-Ann Reid that I don't even know if I can say out loud. So I'm just gonna leave it there. But
can I say it out loud, or is it worse from a white guy?
I feel like do whatever you want.
Oh, I can't. No,
I can't. But okay. So anyway, but how funny that, and she has the receipts right there of the next two tweets. So she calls out Joy-Ann Reid, saying that she's homophobic and an Uncle Tom, female Uncle Tom, but has
this is Joy firing back.
No, this was Joy from.
Oh, this was her.
This was this a year ago when Trump was president.
Right. So when Trump was president, it's okay for her to say, "Who the hell is going to trust the CDC? No one should ever trust the CDC."
Ever
and then
again, right?
Immediately when Biden wins, it's like, "Oh, everyone should be trusting the CDC."
So she has that receipt right there, and then she has the next one where,
but as a reminder, yes, Joy Reid got caught. People looked up her history, and she had terribly homophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic, every phobic you can come up with were in Joy-Ann Reid's
media posts or something,
blogs.
Right?
I mean, they were public. They were like hugely public, and they were, those views are fine with MSNBC because nothing will ever garnish the attention of the media to the level to cancel someone from MSNBC that as long as they're perpetuating like the war stuff and the things that really matter, you can't get fired from MSNBC. You can only get fired from MSNBC if you want to like cover Bernie's rally when he something like that.
Exactly. Or say don't invade Iraq. And then, but she also, remember, she said, "Oh no, I didn't write those." That's what she said at first. Somebody went back in a time machine. She was hacked. She was hacked. She must have been hacked.
Oh, she was hacked. And speaking of hackers, I just want to bring up the Russian infiltration program. Remember, everybody was told on Twitter, like we're all infused by Russian media and we're all suckers. Well, it turns out that like half of the tweets that this Russian hacker group shared for misinformation was Joy-Ann Reid's tweets. So like, if you're really trying to help Bernie, you're not sharing more of her tweets than Bernie's, and they shared more of her tweets than Bernie's.
Yep. That's
so people should remember that. It's a lot of bullshit being pushed out there.
Yeah, there absolutely is. Yeah, and that is right that Rachel Maddow did her big forgiveness to Joy-Ann Reid. I mean, like to bestow. She allowed her to apologize on behalf of everybody. Yeah, what a mess. Anyway, I just thought that was hilarious. That and it does show, like, I think the number of people who said that they would never get vaccinated has dropped from 24% of the country now to 19%. So we're making progress with people, but it, partly I think it's out of fear and seeing people die around them and hospitals not have room. But I think also, the more you're willing to have a conversation, because there are some uncomfortable contradictions that are happening right now with the vaccination, or exceptions and their breakout cases, and we see that our own CDC has not been dealing with things based on science the way other countries are, right? Whether it's like, why don't we have rapid testing? We should have it right away. 18 months ago, there were epidemiologists saying we need rapid testing, so that you're not waiting even a day, that you're just there would be a way to test people quickly, and that would actually be probably almost more effective than the vaccine. We don't have that. We don't have Medicare for all, which they say the lack of which led to a third of COVID deaths. We don't have, a universal mask level of quality. Like, why doesn't everybody have masks that are the same level?
Yeah, I was just gonna say a mask program. I mean, that was the one thing that was obvious from the beginning. is that the largest COVID country, like you can't travel. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to travel to any country from the U.S.
Yeah.
And for Americans to sit back and look at their American exceptionalism when we can't travel.
Yeah.
I mean, what does it take for people to wake the fuck up?
And I mean, at this point, 18 months into this pandemic, this is a real policy issue that has been completely neglected. They have just entirely depended on vaccinations, and doctors and experts and scientists from the beginning, when it was Trump, were very vocal about we will not be able to just vaccinate ourselves out of this. And that's the
now that's the whole plan.
Yeah.
We'll vaccinate ourselves out of this, and herd immunity, which is like how many times did Trump get attacked for herd immunity?
Yeah.
And now that's the standard plan. I mean,
Yeah.
why isn't the media calling Biden out on the fact that the whole plan right now in front of people is not listening to science, is herd immunity?
Yep. It is criminal. Yeah. All right. So
we don't want to be negative all night. So
no, let's do something fun. We have 7 more minutes. Go.
We found a clip of something good. So here we go. Okay.
All right.
So I forget where that was, but it was some country.
Yeah. Pay your people. I think.
Do you have it?
No, I'm looking right now. I think
Okay.
this is Turkey, but yeah, pay your workers, or they're going to come back and destroy.
Yeah. So unpaid workers in another country said to hell with this, and then wrecked a whole bunch of stuff, which I don't want to say I support that, but I support that. Yes, please. If you're a worker and you're not a lunatic, and you are truly being, just do your thing.
Workers from
We'll support
Anatolia
you.
who haven't been paid for 3 months, finalizing negotiations with their bosses. I like it.
Yeah.
I
feel like if I have one power on Twitter, the only power of Twitter I probably have is to raise money for people that are fucking up the system. So if someone is like really, if you're jailed because you did something like that, please reach out and we will find money to at least get you out of jail.
Yeah.
You might be in jail forever. Who knows? You're fucked. We're all fucked. But we will help. I will help because
more direct action seems to be the only way to get any response, unfortunately. Or a dress. Put on a dress. Just as effective.
With a cute hashtag.
Yeah. All right. What do we got, Pat? Is this our
No, I know we should go out on a little tribute. Yeah, Norm Macdonald passed away yesterday or the day before.
Yesterday. Yeah.
So we pulled a couple clips of Norm, and Norm's a mixed bag. There's good and bad with him. I don't want to say he was a Bush guy, but the one thing I respect about him is he called everyone in power out all the time.
Yes, he did.
Here's some examples of. Go ahead.
Well, even under threat to his livelihood, truly. Yeah.
Right. He believed in his Bush bullshit, which was bullshit. But that's the thing. Comedians should always punch up and keep going the whole way. And he never stopped. Even when I disagree with him, I appreciated his giving no fucks. So
I agree.
Here's Norm.
Now, do you think Cosby's legacy will be hurt?
Yeah.
You do, huh? I mean, there was a comedian, Patton Oswalt, he told me, I think the worst part of the Cosby thing was the hypocrisy. And I disagreed.
You disagree with that?
Yeah. I thought it was the raping. And it's my feeling most rapists are hypocrites. You don't meet many who go, I like raping, and I know it's not politically correct, but by God, people go, well, he's not being a hypocrite, and that's the worst part. See, I think we should get the homicide out of the White House and get like a fresh start, because we don't want any more murderers.
I think we should just go on to the next question.
Oh.
Who are the murderers? Yeah.
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Yeah, you know, we're not allowed to, you're not allowed to put out no accusations without.
That's a little too far.
That's the way it does work.
Let's just go on to the next question.
Yeah.
Did they cut us off midstream or
What can I
something?
tell you?
What the hell's going on?
Oh, it's not mine either, and I'm being very nice, okay?
What happened?
Be a good boy. Now, Norm.
Do you never hear that?
No. Listen, we don't need to
talk
talk about
this,
this.
and I don't want to hear it, and this is not the place to make those accusations, and you're supposed to be funny. Let's get on to the next question. Get with it.
There you go.
This is a live show.
Not for nothing, Norm, but you have been properly chastised by Barbara, so I'm not going to ask the next question.
I thought it was a matter of record.
Shut up. Shut up. Look,
Okay.
let me do this, okay?
I'll tell you.
Well, let's get to O.J. O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families.
I don't know if
Nicole
this is
Brown and Ronald Goldman
lagging on
in
your
the
end,
courtroom
but
during
on
the
my end,
trial.
it's looking weird.
They're
I don't know.
afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do. The most popular Halloween mask this year is O.J. Simpson. And the most popular Halloween greeting is, I'll kill you and that guy who's bringing over your glasses, or treat. This week at the O.J. Simpson trial, the infamous bloody glove was finally introduced into evidence, and O.J. didn't help his case any by blurting out, there it is, I've been looking all over for that thing. In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. That's probably... You don't get worse luck than
Apparently,
that.
I'm still on.
According to the
This
National
show's over.
Transportation Safety
Is the
Board,
show over?
Sleepy
I'm still on.
truckers are responsible for 1,000 deaths a year.
Well, I'm going to say
In
goodnight to
second
anyone
place,
that's listening
O.J.
still.
Simpson at 2 deaths a year. Judge
I
Land.
see Lila talking, so I'm going to.
Yeah. Oh, I think
Oh.
we're still on. I was watching.
We're still on.
Yeah.
Sorry, on my end it was
still
lagging and not there. But I saw Janet said I was still on camera, so
I think the show is still running because I was looking.
but-
So, but that last.
sorry, I have to get naked. This is what I do.
No more painkillers for you.
Sorry, I need more actually. I'm
You do
faking
need
it,
more.
but I'm hurting right now.
Sorry. All
Anyway,
right,
thank
well,
you everyone for watching.
Thank you. We'll see you all next week. And I just want to say that last bit on OJ got him fired. And so, you know, good for you for having the courage to speak the truth. That's what we're all supposed to do. Till
Amen.
next time, keep punching up. Thanks for
Good night,
tuning in,
folks.
everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.